Let's go. We're back. Good morning, all my people. We get into it today. Jimmy Garoppolo still on the roster, but for how long? Got Deebo Samuel kind of in trade talks, but not really. We're going to discuss all of that and much more right here on the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. Let's go.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Crocker. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Cross Talk TV podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the San Francisco 49ers Morning Show. I'm your host, former NFL and AFL defensive back, Eric Crocker. And of course, always got a plug. Locked on 49ers with myself and Brian Peacock coming at you 5 days a week. All right, so make sure y'all tune into that. And some of the things that we touched on the pod last night, we'll talk about a little bit here, a little bit more of a relaxed setting, be able to get y'all input and just kind of talk things out. But make sure y'all listen to that Locked On 49ers with myself, Brian Peacock. Also, Locked On NFL Draft with myself and Ryan Tracy. Make sure y'all tune into that. We got mock drafts. I know 49ers don't have a first-round pick, but maybe you're a fan of another team and you just like tuning in to hear my raspy voice. So, yeah, if you are a fan of another team, go ahead and listen to Locked On NFL Draft with myself and Ryan Tracy. Got a mock draft that we just put out. But what's good, everybody? I am back. Hey, I was out all week. I had a team in the NCAA tournament. No, I'm messing with y'all. But y'all don't know how many times I got told that I sound like the coach from St. Patrick's. St. Luke? The Peacocks. All right, the Peacocks. I got it all week long. All week long. As soon as he opened his mouth, I got tagged. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, family members. Croc, the white folks out here in Arkansas. Hey, Coach Croc, you sound like this guy on TV right now. That's what's up. St. Peter's, there we go. I was saying St. Patrick's. There we go. Shout out to all y'all in the chat right now. I hope everybody feeling good. Hey, by the way, because I wasn't here last week. So the weekend before I was in California, and then obviously I was in California this past weekend as well. But the weekend before I was in California, and a coach, I was at a tournament, and a coach was like, what you doing out here, man? You don't get days off. At first I'm not really knowing what he's talking about. So I'm like, oh yeah, what's up? How you doing? He was like, oh, I'm doing good. And I ain't know the coach like that. I'm saying? I don't really know him. So he was like, oh, I'm doing good. And he was like, man, I'm trying to be on Five Flames though. And I was like, oh man, so obviously y'all know what it is, man. Five Flames, you feeling good? Anything less than that, we need to talk about it. But it was so cool to kind of hear someone on the reference. So now we talk about on the show. So obviously he's a fan of the pod. He tunes in before he's not a fan. Shout out to the coach. I'm trying to think what team he was coaching. Silly U? Because they were wearing green. Silly U? Good program. Really good program. But what's good, y'all, man? Shout out to all my people. It was a busy week last week. Very busy week. I think I got in to Arkansas because I was in California last weekend. Got into Arkansas late Monday night. And then all week it was just catching up on, different podcast stuff. And then I left on Thursday back to California. And I have a son and a daughter in California, most of you know, so I'm back and forth a lot. My daughter has her soccer games right now. My son has his track meets. He's a high school freshman. So, I can't let the distance let me miss out on anything. So, I go out there, I take him to the movies. I went and saw Sing 2. It's still in theaters. I didn't know how long it's been in there. I didn't even know if people were watching Sing 2, whatever the case is, but amazing movie. I might have ended up liking Sing 2 more than my daughter. Great movie. I got chills and stuff while they're performing. I was like, man, what is this, man? A great movie, Sing 2. But anyways, man, we ain't coming here to talk about all this, that, and the other. I hope everybody is doing great. Happy Monday to everyone. My gym right now is being built. They're out there working on it. It's still going up, baby. It's still going up. But Jimmy Garoppolo, he's still on the roster. And on Locked On 49ers, we did a good job. We didn't talk about Jimmy over like the last 2 episodes. We didn't talk about him. But, it is something that's out there now. We didn't talk all last week. So I was like, you know what? We'll come on. We'll talk about it. I think I'm only gonna go live 2 days this week, Monday and Wednesday. Might go live at night. But Jimmy's still on the roster. What does it mean? And I don't think it means much in the sense of like I still don't think he'll be there. Come let's say training camp. When training camp opens, I don't think you'll see Jimmy Garoppolo on the 49ers. But man, you never know. In the description, I want to talk about like why. Like why would we not see Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster, or what are the benefits or disadvantages of having him on the roster? And I think right away most people will allude to the the contract, the money. And there are some people that think, well, if they would have had that money available, they still wouldn't have used it. I disagree with that. Even John Lynch came out and said it. A lot of people remember the quote about Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. Jimmy Garoppolo was included in some of those plans, so they've had kind of money, kind of put away, whatever. But he also, at the very end of that, at the very end of it, he also said it would hurt their aggressive approach in free agency. Now, would they have to spend all that money? Maybe not. I mean, it's not like you have to spend every single dollar, but I do think that the 49ers would have been much more aggressive than what we saw. And if you listen to Locked On this morning with myself, Brian Peacock, make sure y'all tune into that. You hear Peacock and I talk about areas where the 49ers could improve. And I'm curious to see if you had an extra $24, $25 million or whatever, would you at least have a safety that you feel very confident in being that second starter opposite Jimmy Ward? Would you have maybe went a little bit above and beyond to go get Chandler Jones? Because remember, for Chandler Jones, it came down to the 49ers and the Raiders. It wasn't like the 49ers weren't interested in Chandler Jones. It wasn't like they weren't, okay, we don't want Chandler Jones. We won't. No, like they were. Would they have been a little bit more willing to maybe give him an extra million or two if they had $25 million more available? I think so. So again, that's not to say that they had to spend all that money or make all these super splashy moves, but I definitely think they would have addressed things a little different. Why would you not? Here we go. Oh, that's not it. That's not what I wanted to highlight. Oh, where'd he go? Croc, what is it about Tart they don't like? I think they like Tart. I don't think there's anything that they don't like. I'd say this. I'd say Tart, very good football player. I think a lot of people have talked about, the turnovers or lack thereof, hasn't really generated those at a high volume. But he's a good football player. Like I remember watching Jaquiski Tart film, just trying to break it down. And I was like, damn, man, this dude's film is kind of boring. And it's boring because he just always does what he's supposed to do. Like there's not too many situations where you just see him like too out of position or man, look, Tart's just super beat on this play. And I'm not saying like that never happens, but more times than not, Tart's where he's supposed to be. Makes the tackles he's supposed to make. And I think the 49ers, they value that, but at what number? And I don't know what his value is on the market right now. But I'd say this, if I would feel a lot more confident with the 49ers having on the back end if Tart is re-signed by the 49ers as opposed to not having them at all. Just my opinion. I think they know he's a good football player, but they waited out. Remember, they did this last year too. A lot of people forget about that. The 49ers, they let Kevon Williams, Jason Verrett, and Jaquiski Tart, they all tested the open market last year. They didn't bring those guys back right away, but eventually they did. It's because, they're good football players. They know what they have in them. So we'll continue to, monitor that with Jaquiski Tart and what happens with his situation. I do see my guy, Mr. Big Ton, I hope I said that right, talked about the injuries. There's definitely that aspect to it, but I'd expect Tart to come back. And there is something too that I saw, and I never knew about this, but I saw something that said if you are with a team for 5 straight years or more, your vet minimum number against the cap goes down. So you can still pay him like 1.3 million, or you could pay him like $1 million on your books or whatever. You can pay him 1.3 million, but it will only count against your cap 1 million or something like that if you played for a team 5 straight years. I had never heard that before, but I just saw that and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And that might give the 49ers more incentive to bring back a guy like Tart. So really like Tart. I hope they resign him. But what does any of this have to do with Jimmy Garoppolo? And will he be back? And I think that's a lot of the conversation right now. I'd say no. All right. Now, I look at it from two different perspectives. All right. And a lot of times, and if y'all want, because I see a lot of people talk about these whole, Jimmy G, Trey Lance. We can look at it from both perspectives, but I tend to look at it from Trey Lance's perspective. Why? Why do I look at these things from Trey Lance's perspective? Well, it's because they went out and spent, used 3 first-round picks on him. So to me, everything that you do moving forward should be to get that guy as ready and as going as possible to make him, I don't want to say feel as comfortable. I'm not saying like, everything got to be all, coddle him and things like that, but it's got to be all in on Trey Lance and what he is and building around him. All right. So my thoughts go to him, not Jimmy Garoppolo, because they told us and they told Jimmy when they traded all that to get Trey Lance, they said, Jimmy, fuck you. Fuck you. You're out of here. And you're out of here. And Jimmy knows he's out of here. Jimmy knows that. So I look at everything through the eyes of what is best for Trey Lance. Now, if you look at it a different way, great. I can look at it. And I looked at it last season. I would have let go Jimmy Garoppolo by week 1. And I would have rolled over that $25 million, and 49 would have been in a much better position for it right now. And this is not hindsight. I said all this stuff before. They would have been in a much better position financially, roster building wise, and your Trey Lance would have his reps and all that time and experience. Now, that 49 went to an NFC Championship game. So ultimately they were right. But now you're right back in the situation of inexperienced quarterback. And you still have Jimmy on the roster, so it's kind of limited some of the things that you could do. Now I know a lot of people are like, oh man, well, you can restructure anybody. Like, you don't want to restructure your contracts. You don't want to restructure contracts all the time. Because all that does is kick the can down the road. All that does is make you have to keep a guy like, I don't know, D4. Let's say 49ers were not going to keep Jimmy Garoppolo last season. Let's say they're like, we traded up, we're getting a quarterback, and we're going to go all in with that quarterback, so we're going to cut Jimmy Garoppolo. Would they have to do what they did to D4's contract and make it to where now you can't even get rid of D4 this year? And then you just keep doing that every year until he done made $100-something million and played 1 year? So, I look at everything from Trey Lance's perspective and how is that going to benefit the 49ers in the long run. Now, let's look at it from the coach's organization and Jimmy Garoppolo's perspective. All right. From their perspective, when Jimmy Garoppolo plays, he wins. We've heard that from a lot of teams. You hear that in the media. Some of the media hate Jimmy, but I don't want to say hate, but they don't like him as much. But okay, we're looking at it from Jimmy G's perspective. Hey man, like, I play good, we win, I'm healthy, all that good stuff. Why do y'all want me gone, and etc. And at the end of the day, all that stuff is irrelevant, in my opinion. Now I could be wrong. Y'all let me know. But I think it doesn't matter what's best for Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. Because again, when you traded 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance, you said fuck you to Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what you told him. You're out of here. So why is it that everything that you're doing, and again, so now I look at it, this is not Eric Crocker, super fan of Trey Lance or anything like that. It's like, no, like, this is the situation. You drafted this young guy. You spent a lot on him. We're not talking about a 2nd round pick. We're not talking about that. At that point, hey, man, whatever. Keep Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, no, you traded a lot. So you got to get the ball rolling as soon as possible on doing everything to get this guy ready so that he can eventually be the guy that you want. Now, again, last year, I would have let Jimmy go, but they kept him. Awesome. Went to an NFC Championship. That was great. I went to those games. I went to week 18 against where did I go to week 18? The Rams. Awesome game. Jimmy Garoppolo, good. And I wasn't one of those guys that were like, bench Jimmy Garoppolo at the end of the year. Like, nah, Jimmy play. And when everybody was panicking at halftime of the Rams game, week 18, I was like, nah, let's go. Like, got this score before the half. Let's go, Jimmy. Like, come out. And that's what they did. Hit him in the mouth. And ultimately, they won. That was awesome. I went the next week. I flew to Dallas. I went to that game. It was fun to watch. Like, I appreciate those moments. So I'm not saying like I appreciate anything last year as a fan. Like that was some awesome stuff. Being able to walk out at Jerry's World and taunt Dallas Cowboy fans. Like that was fun. All right. But that time has come and gone. All right. And everything now, this is not a pro Trey Lance thing. This is not against Jimmy thing or anything like that. This is what the situation is. Jimmy has to go. He has to go. And the main reason why now is one, we'll see what they do with the rehab. My co-host Brian Peacock does not think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to rehab around the organization. Sometimes you see that. Sometimes you see guys be just away and rehab somewhere else. We'll see if they do that. I would prefer that. Rehab away. Don't step foot on this facility, this compound, whatever the 49ers have going over there, 49er way or whatever. Rehab away. Trey Lance, you don't got to look over your shoulder anytime you make a bad throw. The tough thing is you want that. Like Jimmy knows like the system and stuff. So you want that experience like just in Trey Lance's ear, but you just can't have it. Sudfield got to be that voice in his head. But I don't want, again, this is not a pro Trey Lance comment. This is a what is best for the 49ers in their quarterback situation off the decision that they made. This is that. All right. I would not want Trey Lance every time think about it, guys. We all have had these different jobs, right? And we all have had these different jobs. And think about the jobs that y'all have had. You don't want, how do you feel when like the manager's kind of looking over your shoulder and you feel like, dang, I messed up. Are they going to fire me? Or, oh man, I messed up. They're going to write me up or whatever, right? I like the Tommy reference. Is this, if this was Power Force, Tommy would eliminate Jimmy already from the streets. 100%. 100%. We'll get to this one right here. The off-topic one right here. Let me save this and we'll get to that. But yeah, Jimmy he's not in your future. Clearly. And that's not a I'm against Jimmy thing. That's not a I'm pro Trey Lance thing. That's just the decision that they've made. And you want Trey Lance to be able to grow like any other young quarterback that's in a similar situation. Like Justin Fields, like Trevor Lawrence, like Mac Jones. Again, we talk about, real quick, where was it at? The Power Force one. Because somebody did that. Here we go. What did Bill Belichick do? Now, y'all can tell me that about Mac Jones and, well, it was Cam Newton. He's a shell of himself. Cam Newton sucks, blah, blah. Cam Newton, the last time he put on that Patriots uniform, the last game that we saw him in, he was lights out. Cam Newton was lights out against New England, against the Philadelphia Eagles. Preseason game, but he was lights out. The next week he's released. Oh no, we're going all in on this rookie, Mac Jones. Mac Jones is the most pro ready. That's what everybody said. Well, they were saying Trevor Lawrence, but whatever. I ain't never thought that. Mac Jones the most pro ready. Mac Jones started off 2-4. Now, I say Mac Jones started off with 2-4, but y'all know what I mean. Like the Patriots with Mac Jones as a starting quarterback, start off 2-4. If he were, if let's say this, if the Patriots were 2-4 with Mac Jones starting that quarterback, and if the Patriots are 2-4 with Mac Jones starting that quarterback, and Cam Newton was on that roster, how would that have been? Like, what would that be like? What would that atmosphere be like? What would that, you know what I'm saying? What would that be like? You know what I'm saying? Like they would be, because again, I see the stuff like this right here. In the 49ers locker room, love Jimmy more than pass love Cam. That's great. But once you are 2-4 with Mac Jones at quarterback, what would the conversation be like with Cam Newton right there standing there? Man, man, got Cam Newton, right? But Bill Belichick eliminated all like risk of that happening. He knows the kind of polarizing figure Cam Newton is. I gotta get him out of here. Gotta get him out of here. We're going all in with our rookie. We're gonna live with the ups and downs of our rookie. And Mac Jones had his ups, he had his downs. He had his ups, he had his downs. You know, I mean, so that's just how I see it. I would have went the Belichick way, but again, that was not a. This is not a hindsight take. It's not a hindsight take. This is I thought that from the jump. You go all in, and you live with the ups and downs. And you're gonna be better for it. Patriots. I bet you this. Regardless of how they got dogged in there, I mean, you know, you start talking about Mac Jones, and I think that the situation for him was ideal, as it is for Trey Lance as well. Mac Jones, you don't got to do a whole lot. Make a throw here and there. We're going to lean on the run game. You know, we're going to have a game where you throw the ball 3 times, and we're going to win. And we're going to beat the Buffalo Bills. You only got to throw 3 passes. I think he completed 1. Maybe 2. You throw the ball 3 times. Yeah, bad weather. Run the ball. And they did that. And a lot of it, we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. Just make a throw here and there. You don't got to force nothing downfield. Just hit these running backs. Nobody threw to running backs more than Mac Jones. And it worked. It worked. And I tell you this, it ain't working in the playoffs, right? When they played against Josh Allen, and Josh Allen's on, and I was like, damn, like that's what it's like out here. It gets real like that. When Josh Allen was on, and Mac Jones wasn't able to compete with that. But maybe Mac Jones is better for that. Maybe they got blew out. He could not keep up. But he's probably better for that. He's better for that experience. He's better for this past season. Hell, I think all these guys, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, they are better for last year for going through that. I just think that that's part of the process. We'll see, though. I don't want to say I've doubted the way that they've handled the situation with Trey Lance. I think to this point it's been okay, but there's still a lot of question marks. And you have those question marks because you just don't know. And we'll see moving forward how that whole thing happens. How's it going to play out? But I don't expect Jimmy Garoppolo to be on the roster. Come training camp, I'll do a super giveaway. I'll pick somebody. I'll give out multiple jerseys. We'll do all of that. If he's on the roster come July 28th or whenever training camp starts, if Jimmy's still on the roster, I'll do a mega giveaway. I'm giving away 5 jerseys of y'all choice. 10 jerseys, whatever we got to do, I'll give them away. Real quick, before we get into Deebo Samuel, off topic, but what are your thoughts on Will Smith slapping Chris Rock? I don't know. I don't know if it's real or fake. To me, my initial thought was it looked real. And then the whole thing after, like, I saw this different view where, and I wasn't watching it live. I was recording Locked On 49ers. Make sure y'all tune in Locked On 49ers with myself, Brian Peacock. But I wasn't watching live. So I see the videos, and there were some like edited ones or whatever, where you hear Will Smith like cursing out in the stands. You see the whole thing, and I was like, damn, that looked hella real. Because I know one thing: if somebody talk about my wife, and I saw not Will Compton, yeah, Will Compton, right? Will Compton, former linebacker. I saw him talking about it on Twitter. He's like, man, he said my favorite part of this whole thing is the people that are like, oh, well, Chris Rock is better than me because I would have done this and that. And he's like, yeah, I'm sure all y'all would have just went up there and beat up Will Smith. You know what I'm saying? But I know this about me, and my family knows this about me. Like, you're not gonna disrespect my wife, my kids. I don't really take kind to that. Like, and I'm taking off now. Whether I win or lose, I don't know. I ain't lost yet. I ain't lost yet. There's been a few times I wouldn't have to put this to the test. My wife can tell you. A few times we wouldn't have to put this to the test. I ain't lost yet. But win or lose, like, it's got to go down. Now, Chris Rock, different situation. He's hosting an award show. I don't know what you do in that situation, but I have heard that it uh it looked real. My initial thoughts, and then you see this other one, and you see like after it got people kind of trying to calm down Will Smith, but then I see some things where it's like, damn, it looks like it's fake. So I've seen like some things where it's like you see Chris Rock kind of tensing up. Now it is in slow motion. I've never just stood there while somebody walked. And again, like it's an award show. Do you think that Will Smith, if it's not staged, do you think that Will Smith is just gonna walk on stage and slap the shit out of you? I'd say most of us would think like no. So I don't know if he was like preparing for it because he's like, nah, he's not gonna do it. Oh damn, he's about to do it, right? Like, and then he like actually is about to hit you, and you kind of like flinch, and so it looked staged from that. Like this other view I saw, it was like in super slow motion, but I don't know because I know one thing, man. You talk about my wife, you got to see me. Now everybody not like that. I know there are a lot of people, but I don't know. Listening to Chris Rock after, and again, these are actors, so it's like, what is real, what is not? I don't know, but he seemed a little flustered. Like he seemed like it's like okay, like he was trying to gather himself. Now, could just be acting that part out as well. I don't know, but he seemed flustered. Like he seemed like he had to gather himself after that. I don't know. It looked real to me. Again, I saw the one thing in slow motion. It looked fake. I don't know. Y'all tell me. But I do know one thing. You don't talk about people's wife or kids. You just don't. Depending on, I don't know how y'all are, but I know with me, like don't talk about my wife. Don't talk about my kids. Don't do that. Appreciate everybody's in the chat right now. Shout out to each and every one of you. I know we're kind of rambling on a little bit. Talked about Jimmy Garoppolo, that whole situation, and now we are going to get into Deebo Samuel. Here we go. Real life security would have rushed the stage. I don't know. Would they? Because when Kanye West ran up on stage and grabbed the mic from Taylor Swift and said Beyonce should have won, they didn't rush the stage then. Like Kanye walked on stage, grabbed the mic from Taylor Swift, and was like, nah, Beyonce was better, should have won. Where was security then? So I don't know. I don't know if they would have rushed the stage. Now, obviously, Kanye didn't hit old girl, but I think some things like that. I mean, we're talking about like it's not a fan walking on stage and slapping Chris Rock. Like it's Will Smith, and I think everybody's kind of like, what the hell do we do? Like, what do you do? All right, so I don't know. I don't know if new hand tat, Stockton Porsche logo. You feel me? It's still healing right now. Got some scars still. But real 209, you feel me? Any of y'all in Stockton right now? Because I feel like people are getting shot and killed. Like, it's like every time I go out there, there's like multiple people getting killed. And that's really wild to me. I mean, obviously, I'm from Stockton, so, you kind of hear these things. But now where I live, like, there's like zero crime. So to go back to Stockton as much as I do, I go back, I mean, 2, 3 times a month. Uh man, it's way more dangerous than what I deal with out here. Like I don't there's no crime out here. And then I don't follow the 209 Times page, but if I ever tune into the 209 Times, it's like murder, homicide. Like 15-year-old kid murdered somebody. Like what the hell is going on? What is going on? But anyways, Deebo Samuel. All right, I know y'all want to talk about Deebo and what's going on with trade talks. These are not trade talks. All right, so let's be clear with that. I know we see the like the titles and everything, and it's like Deebo Samuel, like it could be trade monitor, all that type of stuff. There are no trade talks, but I do think what if the report is true, what they're saying about the New York Jets and they're monitoring the situation. And shout out to my guy 49er Lakers. Shout out to all my 49er Laker fans out there for the super sticker. I'll keep that up for a second. But uh for all this happens. They're monitoring it. All right. So the New York Jets, they're monitoring the situation between these guys because like which one of these teams might not want to pay their stud receiver $22+ million a year? I think the 49ers can be included in that with Deebo Samuel. Right? Do y'all think that this is going to be a smooth? And again, I in my head, Deebo will be a 49er for 95% of his career. A lot of times it's that like 1 or 2 years, like after like way past their prime. But Deebo's going to be a 49er. I don't think he'd be traded at all. But I could see a scenario where, and we saw, who would have thought DeForest Buckner would have got traded? Who would have saw that come? Like, who would have thought that? I know, not me. I was surprised. It's like, no, Armstead's on his way out. No, DeForest Buckner, the guy you drafted at what, 6 or 7? When they drafted him, when you draft guys and you're like, man, I want this guy to be like this elite football player, and most of the time, everybody, well, not everybody's going to be star players, no matter where you draft them, some of these guys are going to be busts. Well, DeForest Buckner was not a bust. And not only was he not a bust, he was effing amazing. Not only was he amazing, he was an amazing person on the field and off the field. He exemplified everything that you want in your leaders. He was all of that. And they traded him. So Deebo ain't off limits. Now, will he get traded? I don't foresee that happening at all. But I could see a team like the Jets saying, you know what? We missed out on Tyreek Hill. We tried to offer the world. We couldn't get him. So let's look at some of these guys, these other situations here. Let's monitor this Deebo Samuel 49ers situation, this DK Metcalf, this AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin with Washington. Like, let's monitor these and let's see if one of these teams don't want to pay their guy $22+ million. And if we're being honest here, and you start to look at Deebo Samuel and stuff, I get it. You would be paying Deebo if you're talking about $22 million. And Deebo is my favorite player to watch on the 49ers. Love him. Love watching Deebo. All right. The grit, the swag that he plays with, the way he carries himself on the field. He's my big brother, the diehard Cowboy fan. I talk about all the time. Big bro's a diehard Cowboy fan. He loves Deebo. He loves watching Deebo. All right. So we love everything about Deebo Samuel. Would you feel comfortable paying him $22+ million after 1 year of elite production? He missed most of the year before. The year before that, he was good as a rookie, 800 yards receiving, another 100 and some yards rushing. Like he was good. It's like, hey, Deebo Samuel, man, that's a hell of a football player. Then the second year happened. He missed most of the season. Then the third year happened, and he was amazing. So off of that, do you make him one of the highest paid receivers in the league? I would not. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. I would not. Now, once contract negotiations and stuff get like that and they start to get a little sticky, people's feelings get hurt. People request like, you don't know. And I think that's what the Jets are monitoring. What's going on? What's going on over there in Seattle with DK Metcalf? I see my guy, he said 22 is minimum 25. And that's what I'm talking about, Jesse. I'm not saying that Deebo is not worth that. I know I personally, if I'm the 49ers and I'm negotiating with him, it's like, if I got to give you 22, 23, 24, $25 million a year, you had an elite year. But how do I pay you more than Tyreek Hill, than Devontae Adams, who, I mean, they've done this for years on out. Like, how long have we been talking about Devontae Adams being the best receiver in the NFL? It's been years. Like, Devontae has been the best for years. How long have we been talking about Tyreek Hill being one of the best receivers in the NFL? Years. These guys they've signed multiple big contracts, or I think they're on like their third contract now. They've been doing it for years. So you pay Deebo more than those guys who have done it for 1 year. Like that's tough. That's tough. So again, that's not me saying I would not pay Deebo Samuel. That's just me saying I would not want to pay him right now. I would ideally want to see if he can do it for another season. That's me negotiating. Now, Eric Crocker, the fan, yeah, Deebo, gang, get your money. Like, get your money. Yeah, you deserve to get everything you got. I know, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Deebo's not like young. He's kind of like an older guy finishing up his first rookie contract or whatever. A little bit older. You gotta get everything you can out of these dudes. Because the moment they feel like they can't use you anymore, they're gonna let you go. So Deebo, get all your money. All of it. But if I'm looking at it from the 49ers perspective, I would not be willing to pay you right now. I wouldn't be willing to pay you. I would wait. I would want to wait another year. I don't want to see you do it again. I want to see you take care of your body again. I want to see you stay healthy again. I want to see you have another good, legit year. Now, you put back-to-back seasons like that, then hell yeah. We'll pay you whatever you want. But it would be hard for me. If I'm the 49 front office to make him the highest paid receiver in the NFL or even top 3, I just wouldn't do it. Unless I did something like Jimmy Garoppolo's contract where I structured it to where I can get out of it in 2 years. Now, from that standpoint, then, all right. But I don't want that for Deebo Samuel, bro. Get all your money. Get all your money. But if I'm the 49ers, so if you are the New York Jets, and that's all this is, Jets are monitoring all these situations and seeing who's going to get paid, who might be, I don't know, kind of weird with their player and the front office, and the people aren't on the same page. And I think that's all it is. So don't get kind of, I wouldn't even say, because I think I put in the title false trade talks or whatever I put. I wouldn't even say it's false. I would say it's people just keeping an eye on it. It ain't trade talks. That's what it is. It's not trade talks. It's just, let's see what they do with Deebo. Appreciate everybody that's here right now in the chat. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Listen to Locked On 49ers with myself, Brian Peacock, Locked On NFL Draft. Underdog Fantasy, we're about to get back into that. Promo code Crocky. I just put the link in the chat for everyone to come on. You want to come on live, man? You want to talk about it? The floor is yours. Got about 300 of y'all in here, man. Hit that like button. All that good stuff. How would y'all feel? Would y'all pay Deebo right now? Like, would you say, you know what? 1 year of elite production, you were amazing. 1 year of elite production, you know what, Deebo? Yo, what made you the highest paid receiver in the NFL? I don't know. If I'm looking at it from the 49ers perspective, that would be hard to do. It would be. How do you I get it, and he's awesome. He's my favorite football player to watch. Him, there are a few others out like Devontae Adams. I love watching Devontae Adams. But it would be hard to pay him. Got my guy Andrew coming on. Let's talk about it, Andrew. I'm bringing you on. You going? I gotta ask you the question. Would you pay? Oh, you got that view again, Andrew. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
What's cracking?
What's up? So, would you right now, Deebo Samuel? He had an amazing year. All right.
Yes, sir.
Would you make him the highest paid receiver after one great year?
I couldn't say that. I'd have to say one more of it to make him the highest paid. That's doing too much right there. He's a hell of a player, but the highest
He's
paid.
everything. I mean, he was hands down the best player on the 49ers last season. Like, he
Yes,
is
this is
everything
true.
to them. But
This is true.
can he do it again? Right.
I mean, I think he can, but if he does it for one more year on his contract and waits to up it next year, that prove it contract, if he gets extended this year, it's just off 1 year. If he gets extended next year, then it's like, okay, I got 2 years of this. Then
Right.
then I could say, okay, maybe you got something.
Right.
But I don't know. I think I just wanted to say with all the Pro Bowlers we had this last season, I know some people are just special teams players, but one of them was an All Pro, right? Or first team for the safety.
What are you talking about, Odom?
Yeah, we just added
Yeah.
more Pro Bowlers to the team. You know what I mean? Whether they help out in the or not, But
I don't know if he was Pro Bowl. I don't know if he was Pro Bowl. I do know that he has an All Pro under his belt as a special teamer, which is good, right? Everybody talked about 49 special teams being the one of the worst in the league, and they went out and signed 3 guys that can help improve that aspect of their game. So guys that are going to really take pride in that, guys that are, hey, we are brought in and paid well to show you the way on special teams. So I like that thought process, and I didn't know if Kyle Shanahan would take it serious, the whole special teams aspect of it, but he has, and I like that. I like that he addressed it.
Yeah. All right, bro. Hey, take it easy. I'll see you later.
All right. Have a good one, Andrew. Here we go. Coming on. Got my guy, Medic Mike. What up, Mike? How you doing, man? Good morning.
What's good, Croc? Glad to have you back, man.
Oh, I know, man. It was like, I was going too long. I got to ask you the question. I just asked Andrew. Andrew with the views. All right. Deebo Samuel. He elite football player. I believe he is an elite football player.
Yes, sir.
He had an elite season. Do you make him the highest paid? If you are the 49ers GM. Now, again, me as the former player, fan, get all the money you can, Deebo. But if I'm the 49ers, you're the GM right now. Do you make him one of the high, or we say top 2 highest paid players in the league after one elite season?
From a business perspective, you don't want to do that. However, there's a way you can do things like that and you can make it work. For instance, you remember when Jimmy got his contract? It was the highest at the time, right? 2 years later, he was like at number 12. So you have a new TV deal that's supposed to balloon coming next year. And then they said, I think by 2027, it's supposed to be it's supposed to be a $300 million contract or $300 million salary cap by 2027. So if you backload that deal, like if you have cap hits of, let's say you have cap hits of 12 mil, then 17, and then 18 mil on your first 3 years, and then you backload some real heavy hits later on, all of a sudden you start getting to those years and you're like, oh, well, Deebo's contract is like 6, 7 in the league. Now, the optics may look like, man, he's getting the second best contract, but as a business person, that's your job to make it look like that, but then still be able to put your team in a position to where going down the line, you're like, it's not going to hurt us that much.
Right. And we all know, like, the most important number with these contracts is your guarantee amount. And what would he get guaranteed? I think everybody's going to look at the number, per year amount, but really it's, what's that guaranteed number? So let's say they pay him $65 million guaranteed, and he gets a bulk of it up front. So then over the next 3 years, if they have to pay him, let's say about $40 million, like that's doable. So then the last year or so of that contract, you probably be able to kind of get out of it, and it won't be as crazy.
Exactly. And so I think it's doable. You just got to be smart about it. I mean, you have to be smart in how you structure it, the years you give them, when that money's really kicking in. Because from a GM's, I mean, when you think about it and you break it down, it's like, look, you have an injury history, even going back to college. You've done this for 1 year. Yes, you were very productive. You are our most dynamic player. You're a beast. Deebo's a beast. but you've done it for 1 year. So a lot of those, and with the injury history, so a lot of those things kind of kick that value down. So if you're just giving it at least, look, we'll give you a contract like this, but we're going to backload these years. So then if 3 years down the line, and I don't even want to say it, but, let's say he's not able to stay healthy or something like that, then you can start making decisions there, and then you can recoup some compensation for him.
All right, so here's the question, all right? And again, this is a hypothetical situation. I think both of us agree that we love Deebo Samuel and we want him on the roster. But we did get the question here. So hypothetically speaking, if you're asking for trade compensation, let's say the Jets are like, hey, we want Deebo, y'all don't want to sign him, but we'll be just fine making him the highest paid receiver in the league. He instantly makes the Jets better. Obviously, he makes the 49ers better. What is the going rate for Deebo as far as trade value goes?
I'd have to look and see where their picks are at. I don't know off the top of my head.
They have the 4th overall pick, the 10th overall pick. They have 2 second-round picks, 35 and 38. And then obviously they have, whatever else, the rest of the draft. But they got 4 picks in the top 35.
I'm going to need number 10, number 35, and I'm going to need a 3rd round next year.
All right, not bad. If you are going, because again, that would be more than what you got for DeForest Buckner.
True. But yeah, it is. But I also think the positions, there's a different premium on them. I mean, you just saw what Devontae or Adams went for. You just saw what Tyreek Hill got traded for. I would be painting Deebo in that Tyreek mold. And I'd be like, look, we need a 1st, a 2nd, and a next year's 3rd. That's what I need for Deebo. Especially, one thing you've noticed, there's a lot of good receivers coming out. So, I mean, this year, if that was the case, I would go heavy on receiver.
Yeah. All right, man. And what are your thoughts, real quick, before I get you out of here? I got Javon waiting right now. But what are your thoughts on just the kind of Jimmy Garoppolo situation, kind of how it's played out? Do you foresee him being on the roster come training camp, or you're like, nah, come training camp, he won't be a 49er?
So training camp, he's not going to be a 49er. They'll cut him. They'll cut him before that. I think they do, especially Lynch, and he better understand the dynamics of having 2 quarterbacks come training camp on your roster. I think he should have been. I mean, I was in the same boat as you. I think he should have been gone last year. You roll over that extra $25 million on top of what you would have saved, and that's an extra $50 million in cap, and then you build the best possible team you can around Trey. But there's no way he can be on the team come training camp. I think they overvalued and overplayed their hand. I think they wanted to do right by him, and I honestly think a possibility is he maybe nixed the trade because of that no trade clause. And that might have cost them. And so I think Jimmy's camp might have messed up too, because I don't think anyone else is going to pay him what he was going to get paid with us. If he wanted to start and get that money, he should have took whatever deal was coming down the pipe. And so I think there might be some talkings going on with his agent. Who's it? Yee?
Yeah.
He might have to have a talk with him, because if he ends up getting cut, there's no way he's getting this type of money. So, I mean, it looks like it actually played out bad on both sides.
Yeah. Weird situation. But all right, Mike, man, happy to have you on.
It's good to be back, man. Good to see you.
All right, you have a good one.
All right, bro.
All right, here we go. Next up, we got my guy. Oh, real quick, I did want to get to the start comment that I had. Jets deal for Tyreek Hill. This is what they were offering: pick 35, 38, and 69. And it sounds crazy because there's no 1st-round pick involved there. But I bet if you look at the trade value of that, it's probably really just as good as what the Dolphins offered. The Dolphins, they gave up a 1st-round pick. So, like, just when you hear, 1st-round pick, you get that, it just sounds so much better. But, I mean, they got, pick 29. They gave up pick 29, and the Jets were offering 35. They gave up pick 29, 51, and then, like, a few other, like, mid-round picks or whatever, late-round picks. All right, but for the most part, the big ones are 29 and 51. So would you rather have pick 29 and 51, or pick 6 spots later at pick 35, but 12 spots earlier or 13 spots earlier and pick 38? So I actually thought that was I maybe would have taken that, but it sounded like Tyreek Hill just wanted to go to Miami. But picks 35, 38, 69. So you're talking about and I think 69 might. Yeah, that's a good deal. That's a good deal. 35, 38, 69. I think Tyreek Hill, he just didn't want to go there. That's all that was right there. All right, got my guy Javon coming on, man. Good morning. I like the background setup real quick. That setup right there, and I know that's 49ers Levi Stadium, whatever. But
what's up with it, Crocker, man? Can you hear me, man?
yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Uh-oh, I can't hear you now. You put yourself on mute.
Oh shoot, can you hear me now?
Yep, I got you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Just want to say shout out to the faithful and appreciate what you're doing on this channel, man. You know, we always tuning in. You know, we hit the like, we subscribe, we here for you. So appreciate what you're doing.
Yep. How are you feeling about some of the conversations more? We've talked about Deebo Samuel. We've talked about Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't see anything of a Deebo Samuel trade coming in. Again, some of you that are just tuning in, it's not that the 49ers want to trade him or they're interested in trading him. It's just the New York Jets keeping an eye on the situation. Are the 49ers going to pay Deebo? Or Seattle Seahawks, are they going to pay DK Metcalf? Tennessee going to pay AJ Brown? They're just keeping an eye on, hey, will there be some disgruntled players? And would there be an opportunity for us to kind of weasel in and maybe sneak a trade in there? But what are your thoughts on some of that?
Yeah, I don't think the Jets have enough to offer for us to even talk with them. Like you see what you just seen the offer with Tyreek Hill. Well, Tyreek Hill had like 9 touchdowns last season with the Chiefs. You know, what did Deebo have with us? Deebo did everything with us. You know, his
14 touchdowns, I think he had.
Yeah,
you don't have to give
rushing,
us a whole lot
more than those 3 picks to get on the phone with us. Come on now. So, I mean, that's how I feel about that. And with Jimmy, I figured he'd be cut at June. I don't think he's going to stay on this team and eat any more money. We're focused on paying Deebo first and foremost. We're looking at to pay Bosa long term first and foremost. We're not even trying to do franchise tags. Like that's not. We didn't use any franchise tags this season, so. That's not who we are. You know, you see what Adams was looking like when he got the tag. So we're definitely not looking to do that. We want to do long-term deals with these guys that we draft, and we see that they're growing and developing with the team. And yeah, that's just the team we are. We're not trying to keep Jimmy and say, oh man, now we got to negotiate with Nick Bosa later on along the line and say, hey, do you think you could maybe take a pay cut? Or that's not who we are. We want to get these deals done. We want to continue to keep these guys long term so we can continue to compete each year.
And typically they get these deals done around training camp. So obviously, like Deebo Samuel, he's entering the last year of his rookie contract. They don't necessarily have to resign him. Nick Bosa too. We haven't really talked a whole lot about that. I think everybody just assumes that it's just going to get done. They're going to make him the highest paid defensive player in the league, most likely. But you got Deebo, you got Bosa. Do you think those deals will be done come by the time training camp starts? And if not, do you think those guys will report to camp?
I think they'll still report to camp. If anything, we're going to have the deal done with Deebo. I mean, if we can pay him, you know, get it over with and cut all these rumors out of here and lock him in, and we're going to see him play with full heart next season. If not, I mean, let's see how it goes this season. I mean, but he's definitely the first priority. I don't think we're going to deal Bosa this season. I think we're going to wait till next season. The cap's going to go up next season, so we're definitely going to look at that and try to get it like a long-term deal done, as opposed to like I said, the franchise tag. I don't see us doing anything like that. We're not that type of team. The franchise tag 2 guys like Deebo and Nick Bosa. Now, if it's somebody else that's really been injured every season, missing games, something like that, then maybe we'll consider it. But Deebo and Bosa have both produced for years and years. So,
yeah. Also with Nick Bosa and kind of the different situation between him and Deebo Samuel. With Nick Bosa, you got the 5th-year option, so it's not even like you have to get this deal done. I'm pretty sure they're going to pick up his 5th-year option, and all right, you can kind of let it play out a little bit. He can play this year, and then you can work on his contract the following year. Now, again, the longer with these situations, the longer you wait, the more you're going to have to pay a guy. And I think right now, while you have Trey Lance, and you could load, well, if you didn't have Jimmy Garoppolo, but you have Trey Lance, and you want to load up on these contracts, and not just him. I mean, I say if you had Jimmy Garoppolo, because there are some guys I maybe would have attacked during free agency period. But while you have Trey Lance, you have an opportunity to really go after it with the contract, with kind of being able to load up and front load some things
Got 3
while
more
Trey
years left
Lance
on his
isn't
rookie
getting paid
deal.
much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like come next season we're not going to be paying the quarterbacks crazy amount of money. You see what Aaron Rodgers is taking from Green Bay, so we're definitely not in no situation like that. We're not going to be in the next 3 or 4 years. So it's looking nice on our end right here. So I really see us doing just making playoffs these next few years. Each year with Trey Lance is going to be something special. I think Jimmy had 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, something like that last season. I see Trey Lance getting around 30 touchdowns, maybe the same interceptions, but with more touchdowns, that puts up that ratio. So.
Yeah, someone hopped in my DMs and he was like, Trey Lance, like, what do you think his numbers would have been for a season? I think he said something like 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and I'm like, I think it would have been more touchdowns. No, yeah, he said 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. I think it would have been more touchdowns and more interceptions.
Yeah,
I think he'd get around 26 touchdowns. Remember, they have that extra game, 26 touchdown passes, another 6 rushing touchdowns, and I'd say around the same amount of interceptions. Now we'll see though as he continues to improve, because this is a guy who didn't turn the ball over a whole lot in college. Obviously, the transition to the NFL, games moves much faster, more difficult defenses that you're playing against. So, we'll see. But yeah, I think statistically, I think Trey Lance he's gonna do just fine. I think he'll be one of the better fantasy quarterbacks in the NFL.
Oh yeah, he can definitely be that. Now, when you're looking at what's your take on Aaron Banks? Because everyone's saying address the O-line, and it seems like we're not really going to address it. It seems like that they're looking to trust Aaron Banks or another one of our O-linemen that we already have to come in and really surprise us all. So if we don't say draft another O-line, or if we don't plan to sign another O-line, because it seems like we're putting money aside for Deebo and Bosa, so we're not going to sign these bigger name people. Our defense seems like it's set. Everyone's questions O-line, and that's because Lakin left. That's because we got a couple guys that are getting old. But so what do you think? You think Aaron Banks will? You think he'll step up and surprise us? And do you also think the Niners are counting on Aaron Banks?
I think they're going to have to, right? I mean, if you look at kind of what they've done so far in free agency, they didn't really pour a whole lot of resources into the offensive line. And they have a lot of young players, but they're kind of like fringe starters, and you kind of have to find out what they are. They showed you last year, like, man, we want to improve over Daniel Brunskill. Well, they couldn't do that. Aaron Banks didn't play. Oh, man, Mike McGlinchey gets hurt. It's like, all right, well, we drafted Jalen Moore. Well, it didn't work. So you had to play Tom Compton. And then Tom Compton goes to the Broncos. So now there's question marks there. Blake and Thompson, he's gone. I'd say right now, if you told me week 1, and we talked about this last night on Locked On 49ers, but if you told me week 1, it's Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Alex Mack, Daniel Brunskill, Mike McGlinchey, I'd be okay with that. I think you could do a lot worse with the offensive line than that. But if you tell me week 1, McGlinchey ain't out there, Alex Mack retired, you know what I'm saying? Like, you start going in that way, I'm like, golly, you're in trouble. So maybe that's the way that the 49ers are looking at it. Like, man, Aaron Banks, hey, man, get your shit together. Or you figure it out. We told you the areas you need to work on this offseason. Get right, come in, take control of that starting job. Or, you know what, we're going to let you and Moore kind of duke it out for that left guard spot. Brunskill, all right, you're back. Alex Mack, if you kind of have that situation, I think they'll be all right. I think you can do a lot worse.
Yeah,
I think you can do a lot worse.
I mean, Aaron Banks,
I think
came in as a rookie. He was supposedly just good with the pass protection, but as far as like with the run blocking, he wasn't as like shifty. Understanding how I guess our offense really operated. This is a new offense for him to look at. For the past 3 years, our offense had the most pre-snap motions. Like we've always dealt with motions. Like we've had the most pre-snap motions in the whole league for the past 3 years. No one's done more motions than us. This offense is continuing to move around, and you got to be aware of everything. You got to understand the playbook fully, and it just seemed like Aaron Banks just needed time to look into that playbook, see how Lakin played the guard, and do his little studies, and maybe he's going to come in and surprise us all.
All right, man, Javon, it's a pleasure having you on, man. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Hey, appreciate you having me on. Shout out to the.
Do you have a platform or anything? Do you want to promote anything?
No, I'm not promoting anything. I'm just a fan that just love to talk football.
All right, man. You gotta come on more often, bro.
I appreciate you, man.
All right. Here we go. Got a few start little comments I wanted to get to. One, tell your boy Grant to stop this trade Kittle and Deebo BS. Man, mad thirsty for views. I defend Grant Cohn because whether I agree or disagree, obviously, like, that's not my approach. Y'all listen to me. But you can say he's thirsty for views, but he's getting the views. So it's like, it's working, right? It gets people to tune in. I think it's good entertainment. And yeah, so whether you love it, whether you hate it, you tune in. A lot of people. And he has like this new writer who kind of pushes some, toes the line a little bit. But, I see dude's article floating around Twitter. So it works. People tune in. They like the villain. I've talked about this before. Everybody's favorite Batman is Dark Knight. Why? Because Joker was an amazing villain. And I think that's Grant Cohn. Grant Cohn's a great villain. All right. As far as trading Kittle, and I kind of brought this up before, not saying I would trade. I don't want to say I would trade Kittle. But I know on Locked on 49ers, Peacock and I were talking, and I was like, dude, like the usage for Kittle is in like as it pertains to what they're paying him. He's the highest paid tight end in the league. But he goes games where he gets 2 and 3 targets. And I know it's like, well, he's a good run blocker. And it's like, all right, but he's an amazing receiver, and they just don't utilize him that way. So I guess, are you paying him $15 million a year or whatever it is because at any point he can get off? Or like, is it just because he's a good blocker? I don't know. It is weird. So I had talked about, like, man, could you trade him? And again, Deebo is like, he is Deebo is too. Kittle is the 49ers. Like, everything that you want, I'm pretty sure the way Kyle views Kittle, everything he wants his players to be, you can look to George Kittle, and he's exactly that. He's a hard-ass worker. He's a great leader. He has a great sense of humor, great personality, and he's like tenacious. Like, he attacks everything. He's just a hard worker, doesn't care if he catches a pass or not. Everything that Kyle wants in his players, George Kittle is that. So I don't think you trade him. But they don't utilize him. I don't in the passing game. In the run game, yeah, but it's like, what, is he an extra tackle? My buddies and my brother, BJ, my boy, Devin Mays, Reese Holmes, like Keon, we all in the group chat, and they make fun of Kittle. They call him a tackle. They be like, man, y'all extra left tackle. They're not 49er fans. Well, Reese is, but they're not. And me and Reese are saying, like, we don't utilize him the way some of these other guys do. He doesn't get the targets these other guys did. If he did, he'd get off. But they don't. So do you say, you know what, we don't utilize him that way, whether we can't figure it out or whatever? So maybe we can have somebody else come in and be a good blocker, but do you want to add more receivers? I don't know. It's a tough situation. I do think anytime you hear trade Kittle, it comes off as very weird. I wouldn't really do it, but I could see a scenario where it's like, I don't think he's utilized to his full potential. That's my kind of perspective on that. All right, you get comments like this as well. Our guy, no representation. I like the name. Trey Stunk running it. He should have scored versus AZ on the goal line run, but was stopped by a DB. Trey ain't Josh Allen tearing guys apart. You know, the funny thing is, one, he didn't run into a DB. But it's just, to me, it's so crazy that everybody is like you. And again, I'm not saying that Trey Lance is Josh Allen running the ball or not, or whatever. And he has to figure out some of those things. But I will say this. He's definitely a talented runner. Does he have to figure out how to attack some of these NFL players a different way than what he was used to doing in college? Maybe. But those weren't DBs that he ran into on the goal line. He ran into 2 linebackers. Isaiah Simmons is a linebacker. And he put a motherfucker out the game. So it's not like he ain't bringing it, right? Like when he ran through Isaiah, and it was a big collision. 2 guys on the goal line. Should have went up top. All right. But when he ran to those guys, one guy did not get up. And he left the game. So let's not talk about, okay, you're talking about tearing the guy apart. He literally sent the guy into the locker room like, don't come back in the game. All right. Now, we can point out a time where he got stuffed on the goal line. We also can talk about, we're going to talk about, well, he ran in for a touchdown against Green Bay. He ran in for a touchdown against Houston that ended up getting called back. He ran in for a touchdown against the Raiders in the preseason. Like, let's not act like he hasn't ran in for a touchdown. All right. So, again, Josh Allen, terrific runner. He's a terrific runner. Trey Lance, we'll see. But I wouldn't say Trey stunk at running it. Like, that wouldn't be that. I wouldn't say that. It's a little wild. Yeah, Simmons, 230 plus and runs a 4.3. And it wasn't just Simmons. It was literally 2 guys. It was 2 guys at once. Pause. Yeah. Well, anyways, Trey got hurt. Trey finished that game. No, like Simmons did not finish the game. Like Simmons left the game. He was laid out on the ground. Go watch the film again. Simmons was laid out on the ground. He did not get up, and he did not return back to the game. Trey Lance finished the game. Y'all didn't even know he was hurt. Y'all didn't know his knee was swelled up or whatever. Go on, what are you talking about? Again, I'm not, when I come on here, I try to be like as non-ejected as possible. Let's be real. We gotta be real. Kittle almost had 1,000 receiving and missed 3 or 4 games. What are you talking about? That's true. And I think Kittle is like a 1,400-yard guy. Easily. Now, maybe with the games that he missed, was it 3 or 4? That was more like 2. But maybe with the 2 games that he missed or whatever, I think it was 2. And they had an extra game. So in a normal year, it was really more like missing 1. But yeah, maybe I'm putting a little too much on it. Because I see games where it's just like, why is he not targeted? Let's look at Kittle's stats real quick. He had a couple of monster games too. I know that. Let's see. George Kittle's stats. And I need to go to his game log. All right. Where's the game log at? Oh, here we go. Recent game. See y'all. He got more targets. He got more targets in the AFC in the Pro Bowl than he did in the NFC Championship game. Now maybe they're bracketing him. I don't know. But here's George Kittle oh my goodness. This isn't. So against the Rams, 2 catches for 5 yards. 2 catches on 5 targets, 27 yards. He did score a touchdown. So he had 2 catches, 5 on 5 targets, 27 yards. Scored a touchdown. That's in the NFC Championship game. All right. One of the best players on your team. Against Green Bay, 4 catches on 6 targets. He did drop that one over the middle. So he was targeted there. He had 63 yards in the NFC Championship game. Had a big catch on that last drive. That's awesome. 63 yards. Against the Dallas Cowboys, 1 reception on 3 yards. Why do I keep saying yards? 1 reception on 3 targets. 18 yards against the Dallas Cowboys. 1 reception. So I hear what you're saying. Okay, it's the limitations of quarterback. Okay, I can see that. But like in the postseason, he had 7 receptions on 14 targets for 100 yards. That's his entire postseason, 3 games. So when I say like his usage, and then let's go back to the end of the year. He had 10 yards week 18 against the Rams, 29 yards against Houston, 2 targets. That's with Trey Lance. Tennessee game, 2 receptions on 3 targets, 21 yards. Now before that, he had 3 stretch game going off, 93 yards, 151 yards, 181 yards. And then the 3 games prior to that, 13 yards, 34. It's a really weird kind of stat line. Like when you look at it, like there's not like that real consistency. I don't think it's him. It's not him. I don't know what it is. I see like, oh, it's a quarterback. I don't know. I don't think it's a quarterback because when he had, let me go back to his stat sheet again. When he had, 3 straight games of 181 yards, 151 yards, 93 yards, it's all the same quarterback. Like he did that with Jimmy Garoppolo. So again, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it is weird that his usage, like it goes from boom to like 7 catches in the playoffs as a whole. Like that's not ideal. Here we go. Got my guy J Law coming on this morning. Good morning, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Crocky. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. Doing awesome.
Good, good. Glad to hear that. Missed you last week, man, but I still got to listen to you on Locked On Niners, so I ain't complaining.
Yeah.
I just wanted to chime in real quick because I think this Deebo potential trade is all cap. I don't think any of that has any validity. I think if you take a look at the top 5 most important players on the Niners right now, you're probably looking at Deebo after last season being in the top 5 for sure. You're looking at Kittle being in the top 5, Trent Williams, Bosa, and Warner. Does that feel like a fair?
I think Deebo is number 1. Like I know you say in the top 5 and that kind of, he could be 1, 2, 3, whatever. I think Deebo is number 1. Like with what he did, he carried the 49ers. But go ahead.
Not discounting that at all. No, last season he carried the Niners 100%. He was the most effective offensive weapon on any team in the NFL last season. That being said, it was only one season. So I'm reluctant to give him the number 1 spot because we've got people like Bosa, we've got people like Kittle, we've got people like Warner who have done great production for more than just one season. Now, if you put any of those 5 on the trade block, I think the one that I'm most willing to go away, unfortunately, is Kittle. And he's one of my favorite players. I've got his jersey. I don't want to see him go anywhere. I want him to be on the Niners till he dies. But I think out of the production and the importance of all of those roles, he is the one piece that is the most expendable, for lack of a better term. I feel like we can get a lot of value from George Kittle because it's George Kittle if they were going to trade a star player. And it still allows us to have the weapons and the productivity that we would need to be an effective team. But that's my opinion. There ain't no way we're trading Bosa at all. I feel like that would be like them or the 90s Niners trying to get rid of Justin Smith or Bryant Young. Like that just doesn't make sense. So one of the most important pieces on the field, one of the most important players on the field is the quarterback, and tied for second most important is the guys who protect him and the guys that chase him. So that means it's Bosa and it's Trent Williams. And Shanahan is really good at scheming up passers to be open. So Deebo and George Kittle, based off of that logic, are the most expendable. And again, I'm going to reemphasize, I don't want to see either of them go anywhere. I want them both to be Niners, until my future kids are watching the Niners. Like, I don't know what you think, Crocky. Does all of that make sense, or am I just blowing it out my ass?
No, it definitely it makes sense. I think it is hard for people to kind of like grasp that like concept of maybe guys moving on. But again, it's funny because we talk about these players and we talk about you want guys to be good, then all of a sudden they get good, and it's like, oh, we'll trade them. And I don't think anybody's screaming that except for, there might be a couple of people that kind of push things, but no, they ain't going nowhere, dude. They ain't going nowhere.
Good.
I don't think it's the thing with Deebo is not cap. It's just a team monitoring the situation with the 49ers and Seahawks and Tennessee who have to sign these receivers to big contracts, and how willing are they going to be to spend that money? And if those teams aren't willing, then, hey, maybe we can offer something for those guys. That's all it is. It's not 49ers saying like, oh, we're going to trade. It's not the Jets calling for that. I think it's just they're monitoring it. And as you should. If you are the New York Jets and you want a receiver to come in, you want somebody that's going to come in and ball right now, like, and you're willing to give up draft capital, then yeah, you should be monitoring it. Like, that's smart. That's a smart business move to do.
Yeah, and look, I know that Saleh and McClure would be freaking stoked to have Deebo over there, and that's why when I saw that, my heart sank just a little bit, because it seems like it's completely plausible. Like, and like I understand it's all business. I get it. Like, there is the business aspect of the NFL. That is undisputed. So I fully expect Deebo and players like Deebo to get paid, because they deserve it. He showed last season what he can offer the NFL, and it's some of the most production and amazing gameplay that we've ever seen in the NFL.
Very
At least within my lifetime, I have not seen another player that can just do the stuff that he does. So when you have that type of, like what you've said in the past, generational talent, because when have you ever seen him? You don't. A player like him comes along.
Did you hear me say that in the past, that he was a generational? Were you in here when we talked about that with Deebo?
Yeah.
With Deebo?
Yeah.
So it was in was it in training camp?
Yeah,
it was training camp. And I asked the question, because I'm like, everybody throws out generational, but I'm like, man, generational is a player that, like, it's very rare, right?
Yeah.
Like, the way he comes and he play, like, and it's like, wow, there's only so many guys that come into the league that are like this. And I thought, while maybe Deebo isn't a generational prospect, he is a generational player in the sense of there's nobody like him. I said that in training camp, and I got a lot of pushback on that. And I don't think I'm getting that pushback now.
Look, Crocky, the way you said it is spot on. Like, is he the most talented player? No, but he is a generational player in the aspect that there aren't other players like him. You can find players that are kind of like him, that are similar, but Deebo, I mean, what? Can you even line up another wide receiver in the backfield and then have him run up the A-gap? No, you'll get eaten. Literally. Like, that's a snack for some of those defensive linemen. And Deebo's taking those hits like he's Frank Gore. Like, so that's the generational aspect you were talking about. And you were 100% on point with that, Crocky. So, yeah, I don't know. I need Jimmy Garoppolo to be traded, so all of this other nonsense can stop.
I don't know if he's gonna get traded, man. I don't know. I don't think he's gonna get traded.
I don't think he's gonna get traded either, which makes no sense to me. Like, I feel like the Niners had a huge slap in their face watching the likes of Mariota get signed to a team before him. Like, and what you and Peacock were talking about the other day with the Washington Commanders, I think you're right. I think those 2 second-round picks came from them, and I think Jimmy Garoppolo and his camp were like, nah, we don't want to go to Washington. And the Niners lost out on probably the best offer they were going to get for Jimmy Garoppolo pre-draft. So now we're stuck holding on to Jimmy Garoppolo, which, let's be fair, everybody, Shanahan, Lynch, and York were all straight up with us last season and said we might keep Jimmy Garoppolo for 2 seasons. Did we want to see that?
Hold on. No, that's not exactly how it went. So what happened was, you did have our guy, you had Jet York come out and say there's a scenario where Jimmy Garoppolo could be around for 2 years. But what he said was, if Jimmy Garoppolo is playing at an MVP caliber level and the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl and stuff like that, then yeah, like, there's a scenario where, okay, we don't have to rush Trey Lance in. Jimmy Garoppolo did not play at an MVP caliber level. Now, they did almost go to the Super Bowl still, but he did not. And nobody would confuse his play and what we saw for anything close to MVP caliber-ish. You're right. Like, I think in his last, I don't know, however many games, it was like 2 touchdown passes, 6 interceptions, like worst fourth quarter quarterback in the playoff. Like, it was all kind of bad stuff going on. So that wasn't something to, like, hold on tight to. So I don't foresee Jimmy being around. I just don't see it. And that's not a pro Trey Lance. That's not I'm against Jimmy. Like, that's just like if you ask anybody from the outside looking in, most people that are logical and they actually watch the games, not someone that just someone had asked me, they're like, Croc, what are people missing with Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, why are some people like how? And I'm like, look, they're like there are people that casually kind of watch the 49ers, like they might see the 49ers in a primetime game. And in that game, there's a chance that Jimmy Garoppolo played very well. Right? When the 49ers played who was it, the Rams, like he was good. Third downs, he was sharp and everything. And people are like, why would you not want that? Right? But if you watch some of the other games, then you could see like I can see why, you know. But if you just kind of tune in at different times, or even if, and I don't know how much you sit and watch other games, but let's say even playoffs, right? 49ers playing Dallas Cowboys, or let's say another game, right? Because you watched every snap of that game. But let's say Rams and Buccaneers. How much of that game did you watch?
I watched all of that. That was a freaking playoff.
Okay.
I thought Tom Brady was coming back for sure.
All right, but and I watched all of it too. But I think a lot of people they'll have the game on, but they might be doing something else. They might be, oh, let me go make this. Okay, the game's still on. Let me check out the score. They don't watch every single thing that goes on. So if you go about it that way, and you're looking at the a 49ers Rams game or 40, and you just tune in like, okay, I'm watching it. Okay, I'm taking shots. I'm talking with the homies, and then okay, let me like. I think it looks different than when you pay attention to every single thing that goes on. So I think that's what it is. But man, J Law, I appreciate you coming on. We gotta get out of here. But we'll be back live Wednesday. Won't be on tomorrow, but we'll be back Wednesday.
I'll be here.
All right. Appreciate everybody that's in the chat right now. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, run those likes up. I checked a little while ago. Likes weren't up that much, man. Hit that like button, all that good stuff. Appreciate everybody that has contributed to the show. Like all y'all, even my guy, no representation, man. Even though some of the things you're saying, Trey was not tearing AZ apart on his run. I don't know. Listen, we can say that, but Trey Lance almost had 100 yards rushing that game. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying he had almost 100 yards rushing, almost 300 yards of offense. All right. Look at a couple other comments here. And I bet anyone $100 a team will use their wide receiver like Deebo next year. There are teams already trying to do that. And again, Deebo isn't the first to do this. Again, I watched Percy Harvin. Percy Harvin was doing it. Like, he had this 1 year with the Vikings. It was terrific. I think that what makes Deebo kind of like generational with it is he's doing it at the highest levels. Like, we're talking about 1,800 yards, 14 touchdowns. Like, they ain't do that. But Percy Harvin, he had a really good year, like damn near 1,000 yards receiving or 1,000 yards. Like, he had a bunch of rushing yards. He had the touchdowns. Like, they lined him up in the backfield. They threw tosses to him. Like, they did all that with Percy Harvin. He had a really good year. Put him back there on returns. He did his thing there. You got Cordell Patterson. He's being used more like a running back than receiver, even though he wears number 84, came into the league as a receiver. But again, not doing it to the extent of Deebo Samuel. And I think a lot of it, that's what the difference is. But there are teams, Laviska Shenault, they've done some of those Deebo things with him as well. Like, you see it, but it ain't Deebo. And I think that's what makes Deebo kind of generational. And I'm curious to see, like, man, how long will this hold up? How long will it hold up? I hope forever, because it's been amazing to watch. And y'all have been amazing in this chat. I want to thank each and every one of y'all. I appreciate everyone that's tuned in already. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We will be back Wednesday. I'm going to come on to maybe like Tuesday night. I think Tuesday night I'm going to go on live. All right, so Tuesday night I'm going to go on live, and maybe Thursday night I go on live. Wednesday morning we will be back here for the morning show. Want to start getting guests on. Want to start getting some co-hosts on, all that good stuff, so y'all don't just have to hear me talk all the time. My guy Chris always gets on me. Croc, where's the host? Where's the guest host? Croc, where's the guest, all that good stuff. So we're gonna do it, man. We're gonna do it. Chris, I listen to you, man. You know I listen to you. But no need Deebo. No, it is Deebo Croc, 1 of 1. I mean, that's it. That's 1 of 1. Deebo is 1 of 1. Definitely much fun watching him play for the 49ers than against. But we're getting out of here, man. Love all y'all. Y'all have an amazing day. I got some good stuff lined up. About to go on my podcast with the New York Giants in a little bit. Got to go get a little workout in. Starting 75 hard again. I started 75 hard before. It's a lot harder when you do it by yourself. I'm doing it with the wife this time. We'll see if she sticks to it, or if as long as I do it long enough to get in a rhythm. But y'all stay good, man. Love all y'all. I'm out. Peace.
Intercepted. It is picked off by Aaron Rodgers over midfield. He'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Crop Talk TV podcast. Peace.